Good morning. Morning, good evening, good afternoon. Let some people join on here as I show this picture. The name of this video is called Arriving Here, Birthing into Character to Eventually Make It There to What You Call God. And I want you to, this is my reference for this video. Birthing into the character and arriving here to eventually make it there into what you call God. And this is the same thing as a student or a pupil coming to a guru to eventually become his own guru and realize there is no difference. So I'm just going to be talking about God, consciousness, duality, the universe, Big Bang, and everything being at the center. Everything's always at the center, but the purpose is in the journey, arriving here to make it there, to realize you weren't here and you weren't there, but at the center the entire time. So, this message resonates with anyone, just you could please help me share it, that would be awesome. But I talked about in my last video about Harvard scientists proving that black holes were in fact possibly what created life, and that we had the wrong conception of what black holes were, because we only thought about the destructive properties of them, but we never thought about the positives or the pros about black holes. And the truth is black holes birth everything. The woman is one example of a black hole. She's birthing out a universe. And it's no different on the cosmic scale. When you go into the universe, it's just a greater scale of ourselves. It's the same thing, only on a larger scale. So I'm going to be talking about, and I'm aware this is backwards, but when I upload this on YouTube, I'm going to flip it over, so don't worry about that. It says, Big Bang Theory wrong, star older than universe discovered, threat of scientific crisis. Because, and this is what I said would happen, we're just going to keep developing stronger and stronger and more powerful lenses that can just zoom out further and further and further, and we're going to keep discovering stars older and older and older and older, and all we're really doing is doing this. We're going back, one layer back, one layer back, one layer back, one layer back, and this is no different than a psychedelic trip. This is no different than taking DMT and going through a fractal pattern. You're going deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, and you will keep going further and moving until you finally realize infinity is just that. We are in an infinite universe. There is no pinpoint location. So, what this states, they believe the original date was 13.8 billion years ago that the Big Bang happened, but this is saying that they found a star that led back to 14.5 billion years ago. So all they did was push the year back 1 billion point something years, and that's what I'm trying to say with this. Them pushing the date back 1.5 something billion years is just them zooming into this a little bit further and going a little bit deeper, and they think they're making progress, but this is what we're going to keep doing, is going deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, focusing on these stars, because these stars that we're seeing are this point right here. We're seeing these stars and we're thinking that's the starting point. Exactly, never ending. Exactly right. So the Big Bang Theory is wrong entirely because it's trying to pinpoint the starting point, or the origin of all motion, or all movement, or how the universe birthed or became. And there is no starting point. It's simply a grander scale of ourselves. This is what we are. This is where our identity is established. And this is why I said this. we are no different than artificial intelligence, which we are creating, because the very same intelligence is behind all creation. We are all one consciousness. The only difference between artificial intelligence and ourselves at the current moment is our wires are intelligently hidden. But it's getting more sophisticated to where soon they're creating robots that are indistinguishable from ourselves, because it is the same intelligence behind all creation. It is one consciousness, and we are that dot that we are chasing. We are that star that we're trying to zoom in further on and trying to pinpoint the starting point of this universe in all things. We are the Word in the Bible, according to the Bible. It's a tree stump and the human fingerprint. It's the same thing. Because the outside universe is the same thing as ourselves. We are one. And one of the greatest kept secrets is they're trying to tell you that they know where Earth is at, and that Earth is in a specific place in space. But the truth is, no one knows what's going on. Things are just happening, and that's it. Because the truth of the matter is that Earth is nowhere. We are nowhere. We're inside of a consciousness that is a network. We're all seeing the same thing, yet having a different experience. And that's the point. And so they had to pose the idea that the sun and moon are physical objects as well as the earth, because they couldn't just tell people overnight that we're not anywhere, we're nowhere. Not only that, when you look at the sun and you look at the moon, you're looking at the back of your two eyes, which you cannot see. You project your consciousness out to look out and see the sun, but what they couldn't tell you is by looking into the sun, you are looking into the back of your eye, which you could never possibly see. When you look at the moon, you're looking at the back of your eye, which you could never possibly see. You're projecting these two out to separate above from below, you from me, character from God. So you can arrive here to eventually make it there and realize that you have never left anywhere. You have been in the center the whole time. And it's just a matter of self-realization. That's all the sun and moon are. Hollow lenses, just like a contact. See? And that's what NASA says the sun looks like. This is what they show your kids in their textbooks of what the sun is. But this is what someone with their own camera took a picture of. Huge difference. And that's because this is an electric universe. From micro to macro, you match the two together and the principle never changes. This is an electric universe. We are electrically wired, and it's the very same thing with the universe outside of us. We're in an electric universe. There is no nuclear fusion burning in the sun. And Eric Dollard has even backed this up too. He is Tesla 2.0. Tesla's technology has revolutionized everything we have today for a reason. He was not an idiot. He was a genius. And then look at the sun. The same color spectrum you see there, you see in the magnetic field. There I have a magnet with a ferrocell underneath it. And you see the magnetic field radiating the same color spectrum and the same layers as the sun. This is an electric universe based off of electromagnetism. And that's why what we call UFO technology is just electromagnetic technology, or anti-gravity technology. And I've explained that before too. The only reason we have a weight to us is because of gravity pushing us down or in, whichever you prefer. which gives us a weight. When you step on a scale, you weigh a certain amount because something is pushing you down, and that's due to gravity, which is pushing us down. And that's due to the magnetic field. But if you could generate a stronger or more powerful magnetic field than the Earth itself, then you would thus break the weight barrier, or what's giving you weight, and become weightless or hover, because you're generating a more powerful magnetic field than the one pushing you down. And that's why it's called anti-gravity technology or electromagnetic technology. Here's another ferrocell right here. And there's your plane of inertia, what we call black holes. And it's no different than the human eye. The plane of inertia has convergent and divergent forces, meaning it's pushing things in and taking things out, the very same way the human eye is taking things in and pushing things out. We're projecting the entire consciousness. It's the very same thing, because we are the very same thing as the external universe. The internal and external are one and the same. And that's just duality. That's a part of duality. Internal, external, this side, that side. That's a part of the duality. Two from one center point. And that's why I say you're arriving here to make it there, to realize you're truly in the center. This is your lower self and this is your higher self. You think they're separate, but they're not. They're really, in fact, one and the same. But you have to begin on one side to make it to the other to realize the two are really one and the same. They're not separate at all. It's just a matter of self-realization. And that's why I've said everything is now. We're not going forward in time. We pose time on a linear scale, but time is not happening forward or backward. We wouldn't know the difference between forward or backward, just as we wouldn't know the difference between alive or dead. We're just giving things defining words and thinking we have an understanding when we have no idea. Life or death is no different. They're the same thing. It's the same thing as being asleep and awake. You're conscious there as you're conscious here, but one is conscious and one is subconscious. It's the same thing as what's pumping your blood. You don't consciously tell yourself to do that, but there is a force driving you to do that. It's the very same thing. It's all you. You see how it doesn't make a difference? Forward or backward, it's the same thing. We wouldn't know the difference if we were living in a forward motion of time or a backward motion of time. Everything I'm saying could be in rewind right now, saying backwards, and you wouldn't know the difference, because forward and backward are the same thing. Because we're not on this side and we're not on this side. We're in the very center. We are the center, creating the duality of separation. See how everything is split and separate? You get 2 from the L force of 1. Because that's the only way you can distinguish you from me and what you call self from God. God cannot know itself, because if it's only one, it cannot know itself. I cannot know just one thing. Nothing can be one. And that's why it's maddening to some, but all is one, yet never appearing as one, because you can't appear as one. It's what we call God can never know itself without others. I'm experiencing what I call God through this very experience of self-realization. And this is what we are. Beyond our physical form, this is what we are. We're making We live in layers, and each layer you peel back is a deeper self-realization you have into what you are beyond the physical. We're hiding from ourselves basically in layers. That's what keeps us here in the ego. That's what keeps us forgetting that we are what we're calling God. We exist in smoke and mirrors and illusions, and these layers, when slowly peeled back, begin to dissolve this illusion of ego. And that's what psychedelics does, is peels back your illusion, one at a time, or sometimes all at once. So my message is, there's no separate thing. Nothing is separate. Any idea you've ever had, any character you've ever thought of, any character that's been written into a book is no different than the character you are playing as now. It's no different than the people who are playing characters in movies. We're depicting people in books, even godly roles, into books to hide from ourselves and keep ourselves from realizing that you are this character. And that's what's keeping you from making the realization of oneness, is all these people are you. People who await Jesus Christ will never make the realization that this character was once them, and that character is no separate or no different than this character you are playing as now. Anyone who's been on record saying they have spoken to God has simply made the self-realization of themselves beyond their character. And that's why your character exists in time. Your character exists through your experience, and your character is established through your experience, which establishes your identity. All of us have an identity that we hold on to or attach to ourselves or exist as, but it's from our experience. It's established from our experience. So this is why not all of us have the same identity and have the same beliefs, because none of us are having the same experience, thus giving you the ultimate illusion of separation. All of us are taking in the same thing but having a different experience. So again, what some may call God, I would call myself, because I've made the self-realization of myself beyond what is happening on the surface of here and now, beyond what is happening and only exists in time, here and there. I only exist here and there as my character, and that's why when I die, my character returns to the earth as to what it was, because this is a borrowed experience, and this realization is God coming to life to realize itself, because it is the only way. God can never know itself. If all is one, I cannot know one without another. Nothing is separate, so there is nothing to know. I know everything. There is nothing to know. Nothing is separate. In order to know anything or even establish a thought, you have to have something separate. Your thoughts and what you establish through your experience will create your identity. And this is why we have the ultimate illusion of separation. Not only do we not look alike, but we're all having a different experience, taking in a different self. So we're all self-aware on different levels. So we can all read the same book. We can read a book about God, and let's just say it can give away all the answers. But only half the people who read the book would actually get the answers that they wanted from that book. The rest would still be sitting there like, I don't get it. This isn't anything. Because you can only take in information in accordance to what your level of self-awareness. So to the people who message me and say, I get what you're saying, but I'm still not God. You just haven't made it to that self-realization yet. You're not in sync with the frequency because you don't put yourself there. It's what you believe. You are creating your experience. And that's why anyone can show you the door, but you have to walk through it. You have to believe. You have to put yourself on that frequency because you are creating your experience. There's a reason God's always been depicted as a man. And that's because no one's ever seen God other than. Because everything God actually is no form. Everything that we can never appear as is what God is the energy behind everything, which is everything we are not appearing as because we can't. Again, for all to be one, there is no experience. There is nothing to know. There is no here and there. There is no you and me. And I cannot know you if I don't know me, and I cannot know me if there is no you. I cannot know lower self and higher self if I don't appear as one or the other. That is what's allowing you to take in your experience. That is what you are. Temporarily. The signals sent from one place to another is what's allowing you to take in your information. And not only take it in, but give it out. Send and receive. In and out, in and out. That's what establishes your identity. And that's why it's key for people who want to kill the ego. Look behind the wires. Look beyond the wires of yourself. And realize that without those wires, you don't exist. Because the you that exists through those wires. Exists through the information being taken in and sent out through those wires. That's the quickest way you kill your ego. Look in the place that you refuse to look, which is behind your own self, behind your own eyes. The one that you hear in your head. And you will realize that that voice is what's telling you you're separate from God. That voice is what's separating you from that. That voice is keeping you stuck in the character of I'm just this. Your identity exists from point A to point B, birthing to death, and from there your identity never was, because that's not what you are. That is a borrowed identity through a borrowed experience, because that's not what you truly are. What you truly are is the energy allowing you to appear as this to this. So between point A and point B, you can become anything you want to be. You are God, happening and becoming anything you want to be, manifesting into anything you want to be. And that is the gift. To simply be anything at all. To become anything at all. To have the conscious idea to establish any identity you want, whether you call it good or bad. You can have the option, the free will, to do anything you want, to establish the conscious experience of anything you want. You have the brain power to create on what you would call godly levels, anything you'd like. And that's why for the people who say, I want to walk through walls or do these ridiculous things that some people think are ridiculous, they may be ridiculous as of now. but it's just a matter of the information that's separating you from doing what you call godly things. While you are here, you have the option and capability of doing anything you'd like, because it's the very same intelligence driving all creation. And there is nothing separate. As soon as we make that connection, we will realize that nothing is separate. Every person, every character we've ever read about is no different than the character we're coming to life as now and establishing an experience through. And that's why I say, being Jesus Christ is no different than this incarnation right here and now. It's no different. It would feel no different. And let me ask another question here. Let's say there wasn't a mirror in the world. No mirrors existed, no phones existed, nothing. You had no way to see your face, no windows existed. How would you know you weren't Jesus Christ? How would you know you weren't this character in these books you're reading about? And I'm just using him as one example. How would you know you're not any one of these characters? I mean, because the whole experience is keeping you from seeing your own face. Isn't that a part of the spoiler? You can't see who you are because this is not in fact what you are. These are temporary characters that you are coming to life as through an established experience, just as all these other ones in books. It's the very same thing. And that's the spoiler. The only thing separating you from everything is your very own mind. That's what's keeping you from seeing your own face, because you are the entirety. You are the character establishing itself. You are the very same consciousness that was established inside of Jesus, Shiva, Buddha, all these people. And they became as self-aware as they could through their characters here and now, just as you are, because you are the same consciousness, borrowing an experience to establish an identity. And that's what we are doing here. We are bringing this identity to life, because when you are in the space of oneness, or void, as I like to call it, because it's not even a space, when you are here, there is no identity, there is no experience, because everything is now one. There is nothing separate. In that void, there is no form. And the only way I can experience the room I'm in is for my feet to be separate from the ground. So, the ground is only the ground, and the room is only the room in relation to my feet. Inside from outside. But when the two become one, what you call inside and outside no longer exists. They become one thing, and there is nothing to know. There is nothing that can be said beyond, because there is no experience there. We only have experience because inside and outside, above and below, you from me, the duality. Which is this. The duality, which is two appearing separate, male, female. You, me. The only reason we know anything is because of duality. Good and bad. We know good because there is a bad. We know bad because there is a good, and the two are in relation, but they're always one, and they meet each other in the middle. These are two pillars, or 1,414 pillars lined up in India. And you'll notice they appear very separate indeed, but as you go down and look through, they form a point. And that's because this is showing you the duality. All things appear separate, yet always lead back to one point. And that is the L-force in between, the median in between all things, which is establishing the two separate opposites of duality. And that's how you have an experience of you from me, inside from outside, good from bad, birthing from death, sun from moon, male, female. And higher self from lower self, Tyler from God. It's the very same thing. That's what you call Tyler, that's what you call God, but the fact is, they're two are one and the same at the point. And the only thing separating you is your conscious, ideal conscious experience. What you think you are. What you think you are. So for the people who are waiting for something, or waiting for this character to save them, they'll never make the realization that that was them. For the scientists looking for that one star that's going to show them the beginning of the Big Bang, well, they'll never find it. For the people waiting for these aliens and these foreign objects or these foreign things, they'll never realize they are the alien. For the people who are hell-bent on saying that artificial intelligence is going to destroy the human race, well, that is you. It's all one consciousness, and we're only fooling ourselves. Again, the only difference between us and AI is our wires are hidden. This is what we are behind our artificial skin. That's what we are. We're wires. Machine and wires, just like an artificial robot. It's the same thing. The only difference is we have blood and feelings and emotion, because we've complexed that knowledge and advanced it further. But that's what we're doing with AI. Soon it will be indistinguishable, and AI will bleed and have feelings just as we do, because it's the same intelligence behind all things. We are AI, we are the alien, we are the God, we are all these identities we're creating. We're all these forms that we're trying to study and are convinced beyond a doubt that are separate from us, but they are in fact not. All these pictures I have are on my Facebook. If you go through my photos, they're all on there. There's another one. See, it's all showing the point. See, you got the duality, and this is what Freemasons worship, the two erect pillars, but they always have that central point shining very bright and radiating out, because that point is in fact what we are. There's pi, mathematical pi. The human fingerprint always leads to a point. The all-seeing eye, radiating out. The Vitruvian man, which shows man and woman inside of the circle squared, starting from a center point, which is the very point that you see there, the circle squared, starting from a point. Because that point is what we are. The point is what we are. We're the L force. We're not male, we're not female, we're not you, we're not me. We are the L force behind duality, behind all duality. See? Forward or backward does not make a difference. It's the same thing. It equals the same thing, because that's what we're doing. Forward, backward, forward, backward, forward, backward. But the reality is we're not on this side or this side. We're in the center. We are the principle, the very principle that is creating and establishing this duality of on and off, asleep, awake, life, death. But the fact of the matter is all there is life. There is no such thing as non-existence, and there is no such thing as death. The only thing that we ever will know is life. And that's what humans most fear, is that one day we will no longer exist or be nothing, and that's impossible. We will always appear as something, because there is no death as we know it. There is no non-existence. All there is life. Being asleep is your subconscious coming to life, and dying is simply what you thought you were coming to an end. And that's why spirituality can feel a lot like death, because spirituality shifts your consciousness and self-awareness into something greater. And what you thought you were comes to an end. In other words, dies, because we think when something dies, it comes to an end. So what you thought you were comes to an end. So it's associated with death. You die mentally to be reborn mentally. And it's just like the phoenix. The phoenix dies and then rebirths itself through its own ashes because, that's literally what we're doing. We're killing ourselves in a way, or what we thought we were, and rebirthing ourselves into a more strong and established character or self. And that's the blunt truth about spirituality. It's not a fun experience, and it's not meant to be an experience to just gain some quick knowledge and boom, you're enlightened. And that's the hardest thing that some people can do. It's the hardest thing some people can do, yet for some people it's everything they've ever been wanting to realize. But some people are die-hard alien activists. Some people have their rooms posterized with aliens, and I'm talking about the green being with the pointed chin and the typical alien image we've been sold. Some people are just so into the belief that these things are not them and they want to catch them, and it's no different than Alice trying to catch the white rabbit. And the spoiler alert is it's not real, it does not exist. You're trying to catch something which you have created. Alice created the white rabbit through her dream. She fell asleep and was chasing a white rabbit. In other words, you're chasing your own tail. It's the very same thing. You're chasing your own tail. And you don't become the Ouroboros or the snake that devours its own tail until you make the realization and catch what you've been trying to catch. In other words, you don't make the realization that nothing is separate. What you thought you weren't, you in fact are. It's been you the whole time. It is you. And that's why I say you're not on one side and you're not on the other. You're not here and you're not there. The truth is you're here and you've been here the entire time. But by birthing into a character is what allows you to develop the knowledge and the conscious experience of lower power, higher power. Lower consciousness, higher consciousness. And through that you develop your split personalities, because remember, you have two sides to your brain. So the truth of the matter is, you have two personalities. One is what you call your higher self, and one is what you call your lower self. But the truth is they're both you. And some people want to meditate, or feel the need to meditate, to connect into that center point, but just simply realizing you are not higher or lower, the two are one and the same, is what can unify and join you into the space of that central point without meditation. Simply realize. Look through the mirror. Look through the mirror, the median, and realize you are the higher and lower self appearing separate and posing the idea in your central point that you are separate. And that's the greatest error we do as human beings, is we try and put one side of the brain against the other. Because one side is creativity and imagination, and the other side is logic and facts. Two polar opposites. And it's just like religion and science. Religion and science, they're two opposites, but they're still the same thing. They're trying to attain the same goal, because they're both one thing, trying to appear separate. They're polar opposites. So it's this median that's creating the separateness of duality. So simply realizing the two are one. You unify the two hemispheres together, not put them against each other. And that's something that psychedelics helps assist people with. It unifies the brain together, and that's what's referred to as the Kundalini rising, where the two, snakes go up the spinal cord and then form into your third eye, and they light up the third eye because it's joining your two hemispheres of the brain together. And it's showing you into your own mind and right into the mirror, that median that's establishing what you call higher self, lower self. I'm going to use my name for example, Tyler from God. Tyler's on one side, God's on the other. The only thing separating them is the mirror that filters them into each side of the hemisphere. The central point, the third eye. So when the Kundalini rises and joins the hemispheres together, it shows you into both of them and joins them together. Inside and outside become one. The universe outside of you and the universe inside of you become one. And realistically, what happens beyond there, really can't be spoken. Because there is no duality, and without duality, we don't know how to explain, you don't know something without being in relation to another. It's just like you don't know good without bad. So there really is nothing to explain beyond duality. That's where the term all is one comes from. All from one, omnia ab uno, all from one. That's where the term comes from, because everything is one. And while everything is one, nothing will ever appear as one, because nothing can know itself without other. So that's something that we can rest assured upon. Death is not real, nor will we ever have to experience non-existence. We don't know the duration between this incarnation and the next incarnation, because time is only created through the conscious experience. So in other words, time is only taken in through a conscious experience or duration. We only know the duration of time by having a conscious experience. So for example, what might feel like 10 minutes for you could feel like an hour to me. Some people at work may have said, well, damn, that day went so fast, and you could have said, well, no, that day dragged on forever, because time is a conscious experience. You might have been taking in information slower that day, and so you felt time was dragging on, but the person next to you may have been taking in information just so fast that their day was busy and time went by like that. Because time is a part of the created experience, the experience you're having. Time does not exist. The duration is only known through your experience. So, when you're asleep, you do not know the duration between asleep and awake. You just awaken, and it feels like you just went to sleep, because you don't know the duration. You only have a duration of time when you have a conscious experience. So, when you die, you won't know the time frame between this and this. You'll just awaken, just as you awoke out of your sleep, you'll, boom, birth into a body, and you'll never have known, wow, I'm here again, I'm doing this again, and establishing a new character, identity, and I'm appearing separate, and I'm doing, doing my thing here, and you'll never know. It's the same thing as waking up. You go to sleep, and then you just wake up, and you're like, damn, I just went to sleep like 5 minutes ago, but you slept for 6 hours, right? It's the same thing when you die. It's just like the waves washing up on shore. They come in, they go back, they come in, they go back. It's the same thing with you. You birth out, you die, you birth out, you die, birth out, you die. I gotta head out. I'm gonna wrap up this video. It'll be on my YouTube channel, Red Pill Rabbit Hole. I thank you everyone for watching. Hope you have a good Sunday. And if you don't have my YouTube channel, it's Red Pill Rabbit Hole. And thank you to everyone who shared this video. I appreciate that. If you have any questions, message me. Thank you.